Hi, welcome to Robyn's Roost. Today we're going to do some paper tearing to make a background for a fun fall card. Of course, you can use this technique to make any season card, but it's a beautiful fall day when I'm making this, and I'm in a fall mood. So here is the card that we're going to be making. So we'll just flip the camera and get started. So we're going to be using two stamp sets to create this card: the Painted Poppies, which is all the images, and the Biggest Wish, which has the greetings. So I'm going to set these off to the side. I already have my leaf stamp, my happy and birthday here ready to go. Now the card base that we're going to be using today is cut the long way. So I first cut it 4 1/4 and then I scored it at 5 1/2. Now if you're going to make two cards, go ahead and score it first and then cut it. Now our pieces are going to be some designer series paper that is 4 inches by 3 inches, and then you're going to have 5 different colors. Now I'm doing this card in fall colors, but of course you could make them, Christmassy or spring, Easter, whatever your occasion is. So you're going to start, the bottom piece is going to be cut 4 by 3 inches, just like your designer series paper, so that kind of makes it easy to remember. And then you're going to make these all 4 inches the one direction, and then a 1/2 inch smaller for each one. So this one is 2 1/2, and then we have 2 inch, and these are cherry cobbler, Cajun craze, pumpkin pie, mango melody, that's 1 1/2, and then finally a crushed curry, that's 1 inch. So whatever your colors are, you're going to have each one a 1/2 inch smaller, starting with that 4 by 3. And then I have already die cut a label from the Painted Labels dies, and this is going to be right here. Okay. And then I also have a piece of the cherry cobbler. I'm going to do some leaves, and I have an extra leaf from another project in the Cajun craze, so I'll have 2 different colors for my leaves. So when you're tearing your paper, I'm not real exact. If you want more back and forth, you can just tear it back and forth. If you want it pretty straight, like I'm doing here, I'm just tearing it pretty straight. I do think it looks better if you kind of have them all torn the same way. Like if you're going to do, jig-jagged tears, you probably want to do that on all of the pieces. So I'm just going to go ahead and tear these. And you see I'm not tearing a lot off of them, just kind of the edge to give it the torn look. See this one, I've got a little bit more jagged. So now let's go ahead and adhere all these pieces down. I'm going to start with my Cottage Gingham designer series paper, and you can use any paper you want. I just think this one is really pretty with the outdoor leaf motif. We're just going to leave equal sides, equal edges, and then I'm actually going to start pile these up so I don't put them on wrong. Okay. And I'm just going to start matching these up on top of the next bigger one. And you're going to want to match it up with the sides here, and then leave it about the same distance so you have an even space around. And then I'm actually going to use the Cajun Craze to do my inking. You could use either a black ink or choose any of the darker colors on your paper choices. And then I'm going to do 3 leaves under this because I always like 3s. So we've got our 2 cherry cobbler ones, and then I have an extra Cajun Craze one. We'll see how that looks. Be back in a minute. Now, one really nice thing about this die set is that there are actually 2 of these little leaves, so you can actually cut out 2 at a time, which is really nice. Now I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. Now you could use any shape greeting label that you know, as long as it fit on here. And I'm gonna like layer these a little bit on here first to see where I want them. Perfect. And I'm just going to adhere these with my Stampin' Seal. And I'm using the Stampin' Seal Plus. I actually prefer the Plus over the regular. I think it tears off easier because it has the little like tear marks on it. So it doesn't like, oh, I don't know what polite word to call it. It doesn't pull out when you finish so that you have to like start it over all the time. So now we're going to add some black matte dots. And I like to do my dots in 3s. And I also like to do them in triangles. So if you kind of think of a triangle when you put them on, so they'll have 3 points. There's our dots. And now I have to find my ribbon. So I've got some soft suede ribbon. Or is it early espresso? No, it's suede. So we're going to go ahead and just tie this in a knot. You could do a fancy bow too if you wanted. When you do your card, that's the fun thing about copying somebody. You can take the parts that you like and use them and then get creative and do your own thing. Now this ribbon is a little bit thick. If you were going to be mailing it and you wanted this to go through the mail, you know, to be sure, you could use some baker's twine here or some linen thread, which would be a little thinner. And now we need an inside. Now because I did my label in basic white, I'm going to do the inside in basic white as well. If you use Very Vanilla, you might want to use vanilla on the inside. So let's do our stamping first. Now we're going to say happy birthday on this one. And I didn't do this on my first card, but I'm going to do this on this one. I'm just going to add 1 leaf here and 1 over here. And then I'm going to pull in one of my blender pens. and go ahead and pull the ink into the leaf. So we're going to add a little color to the leaf with the blender pens, just pulling the ink that I've already added to the card, pulling it from the outside edges. Kind of cool, isn't it? You don't even have to add ink. You can just use the ink. You do have to work fairly quickly though while it's still wet. So that'll give us our little bit of color in there. And that's all Cajun Craze. So there's the inside of our card, and here's our outside. And I want to show you one other, the first card that I made, I actually used the colors a little bit differently. This is the one that I did for my Creative Cards class. So I used a different label die from the same set. Let me pull it in here. So this is the Painted Labels dies, and there are actually 3 label dies in this set. We've got the 2 straight ones, and then we have this funky one that I used here with the scrolly edges. And of course our 2 leaves that we used. And then you'll notice I switched the colors around. This one is dark, so I started with light. This one I used the light color, so I started with dark. And I used a different ribbon here to match my, my black and white gingham on this card. So isn't that fun? I think of it as a happy fall card, but it could be any occasion. Just swap out the colors. Hope you enjoyed this. If you need to purchase any supplies to make your cards, I would really appreciate it if you would choose me as your demonstrator to order from. Thanks for stopping by the Roost, and have a great day.